Hello guys and welcome back to another video on the channel where today we are kicking off the first episode of our EAFC 24 RTG career mode with newly promoted Sheffield United. Yes, the Blades are back in the top flight for the first time since they were relegated back down to the Championship, finishing bottom of the Premier League in the 2020-21 season. So we're looking for a strong return to the Premier League for the Blades. Let's do it. Alright then guys, so here we are. Of course, one of the new features to the FC24 career mode is the new tactical visions and play styles. So it recommends setting up straight away. So of course we've got these different types of tactical visions. Now going forward, I think I'd like to potentially go with a tiki-taka or a gegenpress. But I think what's going to be more realistic this year is either a park the bus or a counter-attacking system, which I guess both kind of lend into one another. I don't really want to just play park the bus, so I think we're going to go for a counter-attacking system, at least for this first year with Sheffield United. Of course, we've also got the new staff and the coaching, so again, I think we're going to jump straight in with some coaches. So as you can see in the top right, we've got the counter-attacking vision. So if you filter this on the left by the tactical vision, you can see the best level of counter-attacking coach we have here is actually not the greatest. I am going to hire him and I'm probably going to put him into the midfield category. So yeah, just looking at this here, you can see the player impact that it has. So an expert coach in the midfield, you can see has increased our player rating. So Norwood and Gustavo Harmer have plus stats in most of their positions. So that's kind of cool. So once you increase the number of coaches that you have in each position, all your players will start to get increases. So that's quite a cool little addition here. So again, just looking at the coaches, you can see the best coach that we actually have isn't best suited to our tactical vision. So I'm going to hire him, but I'm not sure exactly what sort of impact that will have. You can see he's only got like a bronze rating. Although he's an extra star rating, he's actually not best suited to this counter-attacking tactic, if that makes sense. You can see he's only a novice, so I think the more that we use him, that will start to level up, so it makes it a little bit more interesting. I'm gonna hire a few more scouts in each position, but I don't think I'm gonna pick up all the best scouts, as I want to kind of gradually improve these over time. Obviously the smaller teams such as Sheffield United won't have as good coaching as the likes of Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal, so I don't just want to get the best in each kind of position straight away. We're going to try and build these up slowly. So there we have it guys. You can see in each of the departments we've hired 2 scouts. Some of these are experts, some of them are accomplished and some of them are novices, so they have different star ratings. It's a system that I think we're going to have to try and get our head around the more that we play the game. So here we are guys, and my plan for this first episode is kind of getting settled in, take a look at a few of the new features, potentially do some scouting, some transfers, and end with the opening game of the Premier League season. So of course Sheffield United, one of the 2 teams this year heavily being predicted to be relegated back down to the Championship alongside Luton Town. Pretty much all pundits and myself included have predicted Sheffield United to be relegated this year. In my predictions video at the beginning of the season, I actually put them bottom below Luton Town, and I think there's going to be a lot of people starting career modes on FC24 with Luton Town, as they are kind of the fairy tale story. So I decided to be a little bit different and go with Sheffield United, and obviously like I say, I actually predicted them to finish bottom of the league below Luton Town. So to me this is actually a harder challenge potentially than if we were to take on Luton Town. Of course Sheffield United have strengthened with a couple of signings this year, but you can see going through the squad here, they're not particularly strong in any area, so we're definitely going to look to bring in some new players. But I'll be honest, my main goal this year is just to stay in the Premier League. We're not going to be massively overhauling the squad, as we don't have a huge budget. And I think what the plan is to bring some young players in, do some youth scouting and prepare for the future. You can see there's a lot of contract issues at Sheffield United, with almost half of the squad pretty much out of contract at the end of this season. So we're going to make some moves, but I don't think there's going to be a massive overhaul. With the transfer window already being closed this year, I want to kind of keep the squad as realistic as possible and as similar to what it is in real life. But of course, with our budget sitting just over 17.75 million, we don't have a huge amount of cash to be throwing about. So like I say, let me know down in the comments if there's anyone that you'd like to see us sign who's going to fit in with our tactical system. Now, obviously, guys, with the small budget in mind, one of the things that I am really looking forward to in this save is the youth development and growing some players from the club, making them into heroes and seeing them continue to grow throughout the career. Obviously, we did the Glory Hunter save last year, but we didn't really see a lot of youth development because we were moving around the club so much. So definitely going to look into some youth scouts and bring in some young homegrown players. Of course, the domestic objectives this year set by the board is just to avoid relegation in the Premier League and the round of 16 in the FA Cup. Of course, that's my objective too. This first year, we just need to make sure that we survive the Premier League relegation battle. So guys, what we're actually going to look into doing is hiring a youth staff member. I'm hoping we get a couple of decent. We've got a 4-star here, Archie Hay from England. So we're going to hire him. We have already got a 3-star, 2-star as well. I don't want to spend all my budget. We have got a 4-star, 5-star here, but I think I'm going to leave a little bit of cash in the coffers. And in this first year, I definitely want to stick a little bit closer to home. So we're going to send our best scout out to England looking for homegrown talent. I'm not going to put any type or position in particular. We're just going to send Archie out looking for any player that could potentially be good for the future. And I think with Frankie here, I'm going to send him to Scotland, but just for 6 months, and then we'll potentially scout Wales or Ireland after. Having a bit of Scottish heritage myself, I'm quite looking forward to seeing if we get any true Scots coming through the academy. So Frankie and Archie are both going to head out on their scouting missions, and hopefully we get some good players for the future. So guys, this is how the Sheffield United team is currently set up, and you can see it's not absolutely awful. We've got some decent players, Souza and Harmer in the middle. I quite like Cameron Archer up top as well. Ollie McBurney, maybe we'll look to improve in the attacking areas. But you can see we've got a couple of boosts on our players already, so that's nice to see that the coaching is having an effect. And I need to sort out the substitutes bench. 1 second. Alright guys, that's much better now that we've sorted out the positions. We've actually got some decent depth. I'd say that we're struggling a little bit for strength in that depth. We've got a couple of good young attackers, the likes of Daniel Jebison, Ryan Brewster, who was obviously a huge signing at the time from Liverpool. I'd say especially in midfield, we're looking a little bit short with some quality in there. Obviously, Tom Davis joined on a free. We've got McAtee, who's a very good young player, obviously just 20 years of age. I'd like to get him some good game time this year. But yeah, I'd say the actual squad depth isn't too bad, but the quality is definitely lacking. So as I've mentioned, guys, if you do have any recommendations, we're going to be sticking with Sheffield United's 5-3-2 that they play in real life, at least for this first year, before we start to implement our own playing style. So anyone that fits into this counter-attacking system, let me know in the comments and we'll definitely look at those players. So in terms of outgoings, the only player who is on the transfer list is Reece Norrington Davis. As I've said, I don't want to change the squad too much. However, with Norrington Davis, we have a lot of players in that left wing back position. He's 24 years of age now, so not really going to grow a huge amount, and he's on a relatively high wage at 10.5. So happy to just try and get rid of him, bring in a little bit of cash and get him off the books. So guys, we've had our first transfer offer here for John Egan from Stade Rennais. Not a very realistic offer, but I'm going to reject that. As I mentioned, I don't really want to change the squad too much. John Egan's the captain. There's no way that he would be going anywhere, so we're going to keep the core of the team together. And now we've had an offer for a player that is actually transfer listed, Reece Norrington Davis. I could potentially get a little bit more cash, but but I'm just going to accept that off the bat. He's only got, well, less than a year left on his contract, so I'm happy to get anything we can for him. Another offer here for Norrington Davis, this time from Leeds, which is a much more realistic destination. It's also an extra 100 grand, so I'm actually hoping that he decides to go there. So I believe we have our first sale of the career going through here. It's Reece Norrington Davis heading out. Of course, this is not a new feature, the animations, but Norrington Davis heading to Leeds. Quite happy with that sale, 1.85 million, less than a year left on his deal, and it's quite realistic that he's staying in the Championship as well. First sale is Norrington Davis. We've got the new training plan system, which I've not really seen a huge amount of, so we'll take a quick look at this. Now I believe what we can do is if we select a player, we can change basically how their training works, so you can have it more performance driven or more energy driven. Now at the moment, because the players all have full fitness, I think we should be a little bit more performance focused. Now once that's been applied to one player, I believe we can then apply that for all players. So now you can see all 32 of our players are on this plan where they're slightly more performance focused. So that will hopefully increase the sharpness of our players. Obviously they're all pretty fit at the moment, having not played and just coming back to pre-season. What this does mean moving forward is the players that aren't playing as regularly, you can have them on plans so that they keep their sharpness up, whereas the players that play regularly, you can try and keep their fitness at a higher level. So it gives us a little bit more sort of range on what we can do with our starting 11 and our bench compared to the training from last year's game. I actually quite like this improvement, so props to EA. This looks like it could be quite a cool little feature throughout this game cycle. So guys, I have been doing a little bit of scouting myself with some defenders, mainly playing in the Championship, but I'm actually going to make a move for a midfielder here, as he's my main transfer target in this summer window. It's Middlesbrough central midfielder Hayden Hackney. Big fan of this young lad. I believe he's actually now potentially switched allegiance to Scotland, but you can see he's pretty good stats already, especially physically and mentally. Obviously a little bit of work to do technically, but that will come the more he plays. And you can see his play styles are, he's got the long pass, so obviously when we're looking to go back to front quickly, that will definitely help in our transitions. So as I mentioned, with us playing that 3 in midfield, obviously Vinicius and Harmer are our kind of main players in that midfield at 75 overall. I think Davis and Ollie Norwood will be decent squad players this year. We've got Slimane and Koulibaly, who are a little bit younger and up and coming, but Hackney's actually younger than both of these guys and higher overall. John Fleck's obviously getting on a little bit now, so I think we're just going to go straight in with a cash deal of, I think we'll start at 3.5. So Michael Carrick actually wanted Slimane, but I'm going to go back in with 3,750,000, which Michael Carrick and his team are happy with. I have a feeling that this lad will be going for a little bit more than that in a few years' time in real life once he's got another full season under his belt. We'll bring him in as a rotation option, obviously still a young lad. We want to get him in on quite a long-term deal, which he's happy with. We won't insert a release clause, and I'm actually just going to up that wage slightly just to make it a little bit more realistic, give him a little wage boost and a nice signing on bonus. And I'm hoping, there we go, that Hayden Hackney is going to become our first signing of FC24 in this RTG career mode with Sheffield United. So Hayden Hackney is making the swap from the red and white of Middlesbrough to the red and white stripes of the Blades, jumping up to the Premier League at 3,750,000 to bring in Hayden Hackney, our first signing of the career mode. I'm really happy to get this guy in. So with Hackney coming in, you can see he's already got those high work rates, which I absolutely love. Loads of stamina, will run himself into the ground. I'm going to put him on the Playmaker development plan, as that will up his passing and also his weak foot as well to 4 stars. That'll take around 22 weeks, so around kind of halfway into the season. What I'm going to do now is just go through and put put a lot of the other players on development plans. I won't show you them all, as obviously this isn't a new feature, but we'll just try and get as much development on our players as we can. So we're just under a fortnight away from our Premier League opener against Crystal Palace, but before that we've got our first scouting report, so let's see if either of our scouts have found any decent players. But Roman Hunt and Connor Manning from England, pretty good first month scouting from Archie. Both look like they could potentially have some good growth. And from Frankie Paul, just the 2 players from Scotland. Kirk Johnston, despite having a great name, is going to be rejected. And Logan Stewart could maybe have some decent potential. We'll continue scouting him for at least another month. I'm pretty happy with our first month because generally you don't get many gems in the first few. So guys, I think before we get to the Premier League opener against Crystal Palace, I'd like to make one more signing, and I've been doing some manual searching of the Championship, specifically for a left-footed centre-back who can play on the left side of our back 3. I'm looking at Jacob Greaves of Hull City here. Looks a really good physical defender. Pretty good technically as well in terms of his stand and slide tackling, and as a young option, just 22 years of age, coming through and potentially competing with Austin Trusty moving forward when Jack Robinson eventually departs. I think he'd be a great one for the future, similar to Hayden Hackney. So we're going to try and get our man Jacob Greaves in, probably for around 3.5 to 4 million. So to make it realistic, I'm going to go in with my first offer of 3.5 mil and a 10% sell-on clause, as obviously they are used quite often nowadays in negotiations. Hull City happy with that bid. They'll take the money. 3.5 million, quite a decent amount of cash for a team down in the Championship. So we'll discuss the contract with Jacob and his agent. We'll go in with rotation. He's not too happy with that initially. Happy to give him important, as he will get some game time this year. We won't include a release clause, and the contract, similarly to Hayden Hackney, I'm just going to bump that up a little bit, and I think Jacob will be happy with that. So Jacob Greaves is in alongside Hayden Hackney, our second signing of the summer, and another player jumping up from the Championship to the Premier League to join the Blades. It's a little bit similar to their recruitment in the summer transfer window. Obviously, Gustavo Harmer joined from Coventry. Jacob joins on a 15 grand a week contract for 5 years, and I think he's a really good signing. He's quick, he's strong, and he's a good defender as well. On the left side of our back 3, definitely one to look out for in the future. So guys, it is match day, Premier League opening fixture. Of course, we've got the real life fixtures in this first season, and Sheffield United of course hosted Palace at Bramall Lane and fell to a narrow 1-0 defeat. We'll be hoping for a better result to close out this first episode and hopefully get some points on the board to kick off our Premier League campaign. Let's get to it. Here we are at Bramall Lane then. Man, I'm so excited to kick off this career mode. We've got the new Premier League graphic, of course, with the new sort of HUD that's been used in real life. Obviously, match day will be pretty similar in the career this year, but I'm really looking forward to this RTG career mode. Obviously, in the Glory Hunter save last year, we moved around quite a lot. We weren't really settled for a long period of time. And in this career mode, I'm really looking forward to starting a project with Sheffield United. Here we are then, it's the first game of our RTG career mode. We're at home at Bramall Lane against Crystal Palace, and it's live. I have to say, it's probably not quite the same when I'm doing it sat at home on my own, but you get the kind of chills running down your back whenever you hear that in the Premier League when it's a big game, the crowd's up, and it's live. It's class, man. Absolutely love it. Nothing beats the Premier League, but just looking to get a feel of things here in the opening few minutes. As I mentioned, we're on regular ultimate difficulty, 4-minute halves. So yeah, really looking forward to this. Looking to create our first opportunity here with George Baldock down the right hand side into Souza, and now Gus Harmer, who can hit them, dispossessed, but it will be a free kick. Now, if you know what my record was like with free kicks on last year's game, this is probably going to be horrendous, but it is in a decent position here. Ollie Norwood is over it and will take. This would be some way to kick off the new save. Norwood. Up and over. Oh, I don't believe it. I cannot believe it, guys. What a start. Ollie Norwood, 10 minutes into the game. First episode of the new series. And he's banged it top bins. That is outrageous. Ollie Norwood up and over the wall. Johnston nowhere near it. And Bramall Lane is absolutely rocking. What a start to our RTG here with Sheffield United. Oh man, breathe. Just take a minute to let that sink in. What a ridiculous start. You cannot even dream up scripts like that. It's outrageous from us. Obviously a long way to go, but what a start. One of the veterans, Ollie Norwood, was with the team back in 2020 and 2021 when they were in the Premier League, as Palace's first chance of the game flashes wide, and it's him who gives us the lead here against Crystal Palace. Palace most certainly knocking on the door though. Here's Mateta into the penalty area. Mateta levels up for Crystal Palace, and I have to say it's poor goalkeeping at first glance from Wes Foderingham. I backed off, maybe gave Mateta a little bit too much room. But from our keeper, well, if we're going to survive in the Premier League, we need better than that. It's poor from our number one. Beaten at his near post, and from that angle, it's really not great. Our lead didn't last long, and Palace back into it. Sousa's trying to get tight to him, but Eze's away from him. Mateta in the penalty area. This is dangerous. Eze back to Mateta, and that's much better from Wes Foderingham. Last chance of the half here as Lowe brings it forward, finds Harmer. Now Cameron Archer, potential chance here, and Archer's dispossessed by Mark Gurhey. Had a little half chance to pull the trigger there and couldn't get his shot away. We do go into the break tied at 1-1, and you can see there Palace with more possession, more shots, and a much higher expected goals. Been the much better side, and they will be coming out in the second half looking to find the goal to put them in front. Can we survive and take a point in our first league game of the season? Harmer into Vinny Sousa. Now Ollie McBurney. Not seen a lot from our attacking players, and that's poor from the big Scot. Gives the ball away, and now Palace come forward. Jefferson Lerma. Got Anel to beat. Gets past him, swings the cross in, and Eze latches onto the loose ball to head home for Crystal Palace. It's been coming, and we fall behind for the first time. Looking to hit back instantly. Good ball into Archer. Away from his man. Archer, referee waves play on. Cameron Archer. Oh, it's in! An instant response from Sheffield United. And it's the new man, Cameron Archer. What a way to introduce himself to the home fans. Poor again from the goalkeeper, but he gets away from Anderson, then from Ward, and just hits the target. Terrible mistake from Johnston, gets his angles all wrong, and Cameron Archer finds the far corner, and we are level. So we've made a few changes to freshen things up. Now that we're back into the game, the last thing we want to do is throw all our hard work away and give Palace away back into things. Here they are looking to respond instantly as we did down the other end. Here's Anthony Robinson. Finds Jefferson Lerma, and now Eze. Hackney with a good foot in. Holds off Eze and now brings the ball forward. Here's Robinson, who's been moved to left wing back. Harmer. Back to Hackney, and Jebison's on the run. It's the young man, Daniel Jebison. Surely not. Oh, it's outrageous. Daniel Jebison off the bench gives Sheffield United the lead, and it is a hit and run from the Blades. The substitutes link up, Hackney to Jebison, and it's a great finish past the diver Johnston. What a turnaround. And the Blades lead on match day 1 of the Premier League. 2 minutes of added time. And if we hold on to the ball, Sheffield United will be starting the season with an outrageous victory that nobody will have seen coming. Into Robinson at the back post, who nearly seals it with a fourth. Corner kick for the Blades. Palmer swings it in. It's a good ball. And Jefferson seals the victory. What an appearance from the young 20-year-old Daniel Jefferson. 4-2 to the Blades, and what a way to kick off the campaign. 3 points and a brilliant performance. It's a bit of a hit and run. Brilliant header by Jefferson, past Sam Johnson, and that will do it. A crazy turnaround after we went 2-1 down. What a performance from the Blades. And 3 points on the board on match day 1. Well, what a ridiculous start to our Premier League campaign. That game had just about everything, and Sheffield United are off the mark in match day 1. Guys, that will do it for the first episode of our RTG here on FC24. This first episode has been an absolute blast to record, so I hope you guys do really enjoy it. That game literally had everything. I need to go and take a minute and catch my breath because that was absolutely crazy. Thank you guys so much for the support on the channel. I really hope you are as excited as I am for FC24, and what a start to our career. I'll catch you in the next episode very soon, guys, and peace.